All right, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, yeah. Welcome everybody. Fuck it. We'll just fucking start recording. So here's the thing: is that the production delays on the new Air Force One are so extreme that there's a chance that they're still going to be using Air Force One, the current Air Force One, when the next president takes over, up to a year after he's in the office, because they still have to do all the flight checks and all the redundancy runs and so on and so forth. They have to do the whole shakedown process, and so there's a good chance that the new air. Honestly speaking, it'll be probably 2030 by the time the new president gets fucking new Air Force One. Like, it's bad. It's really bad.
Is there supposed to be a specific time for are these? Is Air Force One supposed to have a specific life cycle, or is it just, like they make a new one every?
It's already beyond life cycle.
What is this life cycle supposed to be?
If I remember correctly, the airframe was first deployed in 84 or 87. I don't remember. It's one of those two dates, and it was supposed to run until 2024.
Ah.
Yeah, it was basically supposed to be. I think it was 84. It was supposed to. The airframe was supposed to have like a 40-year life cycle, and then they were going to replace it. The problem is that its replacement. It's going to be a 50-year-old airframe. But you look at what's going on with the F-16 fleet, and you look at the F-15 fleet, and a few other things. Like, most of these airframes are way overdue. Look at the Navy. Most of their ships, most of those hulls are due for decommissioning, and they can't decommission them because it's going to leave massive holes in the Navy's fucking force structure. So, it is what it is.
Indeed. So I guess you can't blame that one on Boeing, but I can certainly blame the Air Force One thing on Boeing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So hold on, give me a second. Yeah. Fuck, I have to go back because I kinda fucked up and forgot what I wanted to talk about.
If I remember correctly, didn't you want to talk about the events in Ukraine over the past couple of weeks?
Yeah, I kind of just wanted to fucking talk about everything.
Fair enough.
So since we were just talking about the Air Force One thing, which again, the plane from the Qataris, the investment from the Saudis, so on and so forth. Like, a lot of people, a lot of the Israeli crowd is freaking the fuck out about it because they think the U.S. is going to abandon them. It's like, no, we're not abandoning you. We're letting you grow up. Like, we're letting you finally stand on your own 2 feet as not a puppet of a government, but as an actual state. Welcome to the real world. It's kind of funny. I'm going to compare it to, you remember when you were a kid and the world was moving so fast that everything seemed brighter and more vibrant, and it was just how fast the world was moving to you. And then as your brain matured and you started maturing, everything seemed to slow down and become a little, there was more contrast with colors and so on and so forth. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing for Israel. Israel has never been allowed to actually become a state. They're a proto-state that's always been at the behest of one of two powers, either the British or the Americans. And the British hated giving Israel up, but they couldn't do anything after the 73 Yom Kippur War because the Brits politically couldn't support Israel. And so they tossed Israel into the laps of the Americans, which at the time, the Americans were good lapdogs of the Brits, and they said, here you go, here's a new toy. Well, I think the Brits are fucking regretting that decision right now.
Indeed.
So, across the board, if I could say anything to the Israelis out there, it would be calm the fuck down and stop spurging like idiots, because at the end of the fucking day, nothing's going to really change other than you're actually going to be able to do shit. Power politics are in, consensus politics are out. And nobody is going to really give you any side eye when you decide to say, fuck it, we're going to fucking get rid of the Palestinians. Like, nobody's really going to care. Because at the end of the day, they're not going to kill them all. They're going to force them out of Israel and then they're going to call it quits. That's what's going to happen. And I'm not going to care because the Palestinians are fucking crazy. Like, the ones I know are pretty fucking chill. But the ones over there, they're fucking insane.
Correct.
So, like, nobody's going to care. And Israel's actually going to be able to exist. It doesn't exist right now. It just doesn't. Like, anybody who wants to argue that point with me, they are more than welcome to. And I'm just going to laugh and be like, okay, then why do you feel the need to have Daddy USA back you up at all turns? Like, why do you feel that way? Now, there's, like Halsey, for example. Halsey would agree with me. He's like, no, I want the USA to stop so fucking Israel can grow up. But
but here's a question: Is America really going to let Israel grow up because of how much money we make off of them selling them weapons and other stuff?
Well, that's not why. That's not at all. See, the weapon sales we make to Israel, boo-hoo. Like, honestly speaking, that's a drop in the bucket. And Israel's never not going to be a financial partner and an economic partner of the U.S. Like, that's what people need to understand is this isn't going to, this process won't kill the American-Israeli relationship. It's going to mature the relationship. Because now it's going to be, hey, we would like to make a deal. Okay, yeah, we're not able to do that right now, but can you come back next year? It's going, instead of us telling Israel what they're going to do, they're going to be able to have some say in their own shit. Because right now they don't. Like, they really don't at all. And the Europeans are going to be pissed about it because the Europeans, they want to retake their colonies. They want to reestablish control over the world. And the Europeans are just going to be left out to dry. Because if the Israelis actually become their own thing, and mind you, the Israelis are starting to wake up to the fact that the Europeans are more of their enemies than the United States are. Like, there's a lot of Israelis out there that will, they'll have some bad things to say about the U.S., but at the end of the day, it's like, well, yeah, the U.S. is one of our main economic contributors, and if we didn't have access to the arms market there, we would be fucked. So fuck it, we're not going to talk too much shit. But before, like, I remember talking to this one chick who, she would say all these things in regards to, like, the Russians and the Chinese, and I'm like, okay, well, if you consider the European angle of this, and she was like, what European angle? And I'm like, oh, sister, let me learn you. Let me fucking learn you. And a lot of them, they don't understand that at all. Like, the Europeans fucking despise Israel for existing. Give me a second, I'll be right back.
No worries.
All right, apologies for that.
No worries.
All right, so that's what's going on with Israel. And, some Israelis are going to be really fucking mad. They're gonna be like, oh, America's abandoning us. America is not going to hold up any agreements with us. Yada yada yada. They're gonna leave us. They're gonna leave us for the Arabs, and the Arabs are gonna kill us all, and blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Which is not going to happen because, let's face it, the F-35 wouldn't exist without Israel. That wouldn't exist without Israel, et cetera, et cetera. Like, there's a lot of things in general that would not exist without Israel. Israel's not going anywhere. Any other questions, Stoner?
Doesn't seem to
Did
be.
he die?
I'm here.
Oh.
Well, want to discuss with Dale what we were talking about in regards to the Afrikaners that just come here?
The what?
Yeah, we can kind of go over it.
Sorry,
So
what?
the Afrikaners.
Oh, yes, the Afrikaners. Yeah.
Yeah, we can go over that since it literally just happened. It's actually a great little segue. So 50 Afrikaners have just been admitted into the United States as refugees. Of course, the DEI crowd is freaking the fuck out about this because, oh my God, I can't believe you accepted white refugees and not brown refugees. They're freaking out about that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I noted in mine and Stoner's conversation earlier is that this is groundbreaking for one reason. It's either going to make or break South Africa as a country.
Yeah.
Either South Africa realizes that they've gone too far, and now the U.S. is keeping an eye on them, or they decide to go hog wild, and the U.S., seeing an atrocity being committed, proceeds to step in and stomp the shit out of South Africa precipitously.
Yeah.
So,
honestly, it's most likely going to be the latter. I mean, South Africa is basically governed by a bunch of low IQ race commies, and those people aren't known for stepping back.
I'm going to have to agree with Dale on this one. I think, if anything, they're going to ratchet up the genocide here soon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's the thing, is that across the board, there's multiple economic implications that are a part of this. And this is, again, it's going to cause them to have to reassess. Because, for example, everybody bitches, 7% of the population owns 70% of the land. And I'm like, well, okay, so you want to make that argument. What's the population that for years and years and years were the ones that knew how to work the land?
Oh,
and
the Afrikaners.
Yes.
It's almost like we've seen this thing play out exactly the same way before in a country that used to be called Rhodesia. Right before they starved to death because, they killed all the white farmers and then didn't know how to farm.
Well, actually, real funny thing in regards to Zimbabwe, as it likes to call itself now, they are now have been inviting the former Rhodesian citizens to come back. And on top of that, they are now offering money as kind of like a bounty to said former Rhodesian citizens to come back because they're trying to re-kickstart the agricultural sector in Zimbabwe.
Interesting. Though I doubt any Rhodesians will take them up on that offer, considering, the...
There's been a few that have returned, but it's like a couple thousand.
Yeah.
There's not
Well,
many.
let me ask you this. Do you really believe the scorpion's not going to sting you?
Oh, well, that's the thing, is at the end of the day, sometimes a little corporal punishment, as I like to refer to it as, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, a little corporal punishment goes a long way for setting the tone.
Mm-hmm.
If South Africa fucking falls apart, in a fortnight because a shit ton of Afrikaners proceed to flee South Africa to the United States, oh well. I'm not gonna complain at all.
Indeed.
To say the least.
Yeah, but to circle back to what Dale said a minute ago, I agree with him. I don't expect the people that are currently ruling South Africa to really do the smart thing and try to make amends with the white farmers, because they are just so ate up with hate and revenge that I just don't think that they're really thinking critically about their situation, because they're too up in their emotions wanting revenge.
Yes.
Well, that's just not the whole of it. Another part of it is that they have to try to save face.
Mm-hmm.
And if all of a sudden they switch the rhetoric around it might cause problems among their own voters. For example, you look at what happened to Rwanda, which, by the way, Rwanda is fucking wild. I fucking love that country. Holy shit. But we have to get into Rwanda a little bit.
Sure.
But
isn't that the country where one group of blacks tried to genocide another group of blacks, and the UN come in and the UN fucked everything up?
Yeah, the Hutu, I believe, were trying to genocide the Tutsi.
Yeah, the Hutu and Tutsis.
Yes.
Now, anyways, the point is what you end up having is an incredibly aggressive rhetoric paired with a middling policy, because they wanted to slow roll this word genocide. Sorry, they wanted to slow roll the genocide, so not to raise suspicion. There's a reason why we've had for years and years and years now, oh, there's not a genocide happening in South Africa.
Indeed.
That narrative is from leftists who are trying to run cover for the leftists in South Africa to prevent them from getting reprisals from other nations. Mind you, one of the fun things is when talking about the whole situation is one of the things with Rhodesia is that the UK politically could not interfere in Rhodesia. Everybody asks the question, why didn't the UK help Rhodesia? It's because politically speaking, it could. The US, we might be willing to, and I'm pretty sure we would be, because politically speaking, they've got the support of the people, and I think the military, if you told them, hey, we're going here to stop a genocide, the military would be on that. That'd be cool. It's a totally different era, totally different situation. So, yeah, but 50 Afrikaners just got their asylum requests approved, and they arrived in the U.S. Of course, leftists lost their shit, and boo-hoo, womp womp. I can't say the other half of that because YouTube. Yeah. Actually, Dale, bleep. Never mind.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry. I can always bleep anything out. As you know, the amount of times I've had to bleep the word of out of this podcast before means I'm speaking of which.
I don't think Warhammer was going to say it. I think he's going to say something that was a little bit more of a hard R.
Fair enough. I can bleep that too.
Hold on.
Yeah, look at him.
I'll be right back.
I'm the one that says much worse.
Yeah, he was gonna go all Shiloh Hendrix on us.
Yeah, speaking of Shiloh, how is our favorite female cracker?
Almost $1 million richer. Thankfully.
Congratulations.
And she did nothing wrong, for the record.
Good, I know, we know. I do love how people were defending the pedophile that was going through her shit.
Yeah, well, why was this pedophile filming in a playground? Like,
because they're pedophiles and they get off on that.
Agreed. Or I guess the question should better have been phrased: why was this pedo allowed at this playground where he was filming?
Because he's a pedophile.
Yes.
Hey, and he's not just any pedophile.
You're Canadian, you don't understand.
He's not just a pedophile. He's also a migrant pedophile and quite possibly an illegal immigrant.
That is normal.
Yes.
But there's a reason why I prefer having the South Africans as opposed to the Somali.
Well, actually, I mean, yeah, you want the Afrikaners, but I mean, if you're talking about South African Africans actually have a much worse pedo problem than even the Somalis. Like, I'm gonna have to bleep this, but South Africa is the infant capital of the world. And
so I've heard.
He would be correct in that. Mm-hmm. Actually,
I don't understand how you can look at a baby and think, "Yep, that's a good fuck."
Cause those are.
So that means I'm normal.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, that's the current situation. Now, when it comes to the resettlement, we have that one church that has ties to the South African Anglican Church, which, by the way, the South African Anglican Church, per its name, is tied to the Anglican Church of England, or also known as the Church of England. And the UK has been infamous in its non-support of its colonial populations previously.
Yes.
So
they
no
decided to
surprise here.
scrap their entire refugee resettlement program with the government over like 40 white refugees.
Yep.
This is the Episcopalian Church. For the listeners, it's the Episcopalian Church. Fuck those assholes. Fuck them and fuck the God they worship.
Again? What state was it again that they're located in?
That I'm not sure. If I had to
That's
guess,
a New England.
I thought it might have been Virginia, but I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
It's a New England state, I'm sure.
Hold on. I'm pretty sure you guys posted it in general chat. Hold on.
I would not put it past being fucking Virginia. But yeah, basically the Episcopalian Church and the Anglican Church aren't that different. One is basically an offshoot of the other, but they're still kind of the same thing. One is just slightly gayer. Actually, maybe not slightly. One is moderately gayer than the other.
Yeah,
Moderately gay?
Yes.
Still not good.
Dude,
not at all.
moderately, they're friggin' flamers.
Yes, but you're misunderstanding just how gay the Anglican Church is currently. And so that's why I say they're only, like, it's not that they're moderately gay, it's that the Anglican Church is already really fucking gay to begin with, and the Episcopalian Church, in its flaming homosexuality, it can only be classified as moderately more gay than the fucking Anglicans.
This is rich coming from you, Dale.
Indeed.
Now, here's the thing: is when it comes to the resettlement, as I told Stoner earlier, most likely a lot of these people, a lot of the whites in South Africa that are not landowners. So if they're landowners, they tend to work in the agricultural sector. If they're non-landowning whites, they tend to work in the tech sector. So more than likely, most of these people reside within the tech sector. So most likely they'll go into the tech sector pretty heavily. But yeah, who wants to start the pool on Elon Musk starting an insurgency in South Africa?
That would be nice.
That'd be funny if he did.
So let's since we brought it to the U.S. with Afrikaners, let's go ahead and talk about the U.S. a little bit. So we've got what don't we have going on with the U.S.? So we have the trade deal with China, which that whole situation is hilarious because there's a lot of people like, oh, Trump bent the knee. One of the things I want to talk about in regards to this discussion is the Chinese whitelist. Are you guys aware of what the whitelist is?
Yes.
Stoner?
No, I am not familiar. Do explain to the unenlightened.
Okay. So the whitelist was a list of commodities that the Chinese exempted very quietly from their tariffs. So a lot of these products happen to be ethane products, which ethane products, for those who don't know, that's how you produce plastics. What does the U.S. control 50% of the market of? Ding, ding, ding. That'd be ethane. The amount of ethane products that the U.S. produces is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Again, we control 50% of the fucking market, the world market. So yeah, we produce a lot. It's actually really funny. A lot of people think that oil, you just turn it into, you have to choose if you turn oil into gasoline or you turn it into plastics. That's not how it works. A barrel of oil has different components to it. And so a component can be used for gasoline production, depending on what kind of gasoline you're producing. you can use sweet crude for gasoline production. I don't recommend that. But you can't use it for diesel production. Diesel production requires sour crude, because there's certain impurities in sour crude that are actually what allow you to produce diesel. Sweet crude, diesel produced from sweet crude is absolutely fucking terrible, by the way. They actually tried to do this, and they literally, like, the fuel efficiency of vehicles dropped so hard from sweet crude derived diesel, it was terrible. So what you end up having is that, sour crude that we would get from, like, Canada, for example, from the oil sands, because that's a medium sour that we get from up there. That goes into fuel production. But then sweet crude, which is the majority of what the U.S. produces, by the way, this is why we control the ethane market the way we do, is because we have a shit ton of sweet crude here. We turn that into ethane products, which then get shipped over to China for the production of plastics and so on and so forth. Well, again, China quietly exempted something like 70 or so commodities from the tariffs so that they could still bring them in. Because they're like, oh, fuck.
I'm downloading a picture of a refinery distillery. That way, so we have something to add to it.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Just post it in the chat once it's done.
So
there you go.
China had already basically took an L by implementing the whitelist. Now, the whitelist did get expanded. Initially, it was around 70 commodities. It expanded to something like 105, 110, something like that, by the time that the deal was signed. Now, again, I'm going to stress this once more for everybody. The target of the tariffs was not China. China decided to fuck around and find out.
And what was that thing that you said that we made half the world's supply of? Naphtha?
Ethane products.
Oh, ethane.
Yeah, ethane products. And the point is that at the end of the day, the Chinese thought, okay, we have enough economic power, we can resist the U.S. Well, in reality, no, they didn't. The U.S. and China are as reliant on each other as ever. But the key thing is that what did the tariffs do to China? What was that? 500 companies or so decided to relocate operations from China to the Asian Tiger 5 and India?
Yep.
Oops. Womp womp. So yeah, it was a case of the Chinese bent the knee at the end of the day. And the deal, I haven't looked over the deal itself yet. I still need to do that. I've been busy this past week, so I haven't done it yet. But I am gonna take the time to actually look that over this weekend when I have some free time. But at the end of the day, whatever deal was signed, it was a huge benefit to the United States. Like, it was slated in the U.S.'s favor across the board.
So the long and short of it is China dropped their tariffs to 10% and the U.S. dropped theirs to 30%.
Okay. Yeah, that's a huge... Wow! 30%?
Yeah.
Fuck, my guess was... I had a target of 10.
Yeah. No, that's... The Chinese dropped theirs to 10, but... Yeah.
Holy shit.
U.S. is still tariffing China at three times the rate China is.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that's great.
Yes.
Because that means that there's... Oh, my God. Oh, you guys don't understand why that's good. And I need to kind of explain it. So what that means is that the U.S. economy is far stronger than it actually than people perceive it to be, and it indicates that we we can afford to not only pay the extra on the back end, which, mind you, the whole back end, like, oh, this is the new price because of tariffs, like that's not how that works. So companies, when it comes to tariffs, who collects the tariffs? It's not the companies. The companies are changing prices because they feel like they can. The companies are not the ones collecting the tariff fees. Yeah, the tariff fees are collected by customs.
Right.
So, across the board, that means that we're making a shit ton of fucking money because not only are we taxing or we're tariffing the fuck out of there, and tariffs aren't a tax, by the way. It's the whole nomenclature matters for a fucking reason. But we're tariffing the fuck out of their goods coming in, and they have to just eat it because the companies selling the stuff, they're the ones that have to pay the money to bring it in. And then again, if a company in the US decides to hike their prices, don't buy from that company. Like, that's just as simple as it is. If a company shows that they're hiking the price because of tariffs, it's like, okay, well, I know you don't need to do that because you already bought the good at the price. See, here's the thing, is it's not the tariff is on the sale price, what they sold it at. Mm-hmm. So, you take $1, say the tariff is 30%. Okay, what's 30% of $1?
30 cents.
30 cents. Or, yeah. So, the company pays 30 cents to bring it in. Yeah, that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, these companies that are like, oh, we have, our $200 dress now costs $500. It's like, no, that's not at all. Like, you're taking advantage of the situation to hike your prices up and make you get people. It's FOMO. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. It's just pure FOMO. Yeah. So I'm like, no, fuck you.
Yeah, they're charging the alleged tariff price on goods that they already have in stock.
Oh yeah, that too. Don't get me started on that bullshit.
Yeah, it's like if you up the tariff, if you go from 0 tariffs to 30% tariffs on China, it takes some time for those goods to actually get into the country. Shipping is kind of slow, so if the next day the prices are now 30% higher, you're not paying. That's not from any tariffs. That's from.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's just them thinking they can get away with it.
Yep. And mind you, how long did this process take? 3 weeks?
About that.
3 weeks. 3 weeks we had a trade deal ironed out with them. The fucking Italians and the Greeks, hell, the Greeks had a trade deal put into play way before everybody else. I found this out. They had a secret trade deal that they negotiated with the U.S. like 2 months ago that just went into effect. And mind you, we've been selling them a shit ton of military arms and shit like that for the past few months. The Greeks have one of the best equipped militaries in all of Europe right now. It's actually really funny.
That's surprising.
Oh yeah, the Greeks, because we're giving them preferential treatment on the prices. Because Greece is going to become Southern Europe is going to become the partner to the United States when it comes to Europe. Italy, Spain, Portugal, all of them, they're going to be part of this coalition that's going to oppose Northern Europe eventually. But it's really funny, from my perspective at least, that 3 weeks, and yet these dumb fucks are like, oh, we got to hike our prices. It's like, you're fucking scalping people so hard.
Yeah, none of the goods have even reached. None of the goods have even reached your, your warehouses yet that have actually been tariffed.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's pretty funny. Actually, there's a link. I will have to go find it for you. That What Is Up with Shipping did. Great video, really going over it. And mind you, here's the fun part: is that there's this whole bullshit that people were spinning up last week, where they're showing pictures and whatnot of the ports of the U.S. being empty. Well, it was really funny because they were showing they're showing pictures of the port of L.A. and the port of Seattle, and mind you, it was really funny because when I then looked at the shipping trackers, Long Beach and Miami, and I forget the one in South Carolina off the top of my head. Several of the East Coast ports were fucking inundated with ships. And it's like, weird. Oh wait, all the ships that were going to LA and Seattle and whatnot, they were transiting the Pacific at the time. Mm-hmm. So literally, it was all the ships that were in port had just left those ports, and all the new ships that were coming in were en route.
Sounds about right.
It's like, you disingenuous piece of shit. Oh my god. So trade deal with China, fucking, that's an even better situation for the U.S. than I realized. Like, I didn't think I thought we were gonna get 10% on that, and that was about it, and everything would be kosher. The fact that we got 30% is fucking huge. That's gonna make a fuck ton of money. Holy shit. Oh my god, that's gonna be fantastic. So then, yeah, of course, you got Italy and whatnot, and Greece, and a couple others have approached the U.S. Everybody's starting to get their orders in affair, or their affairs in order. Sorry, because they're realizing, like, oh shit, we're not getting treated with kick gloves anymore. We're not getting treated with preferential treatment anymore. Fuck. And the UK, the UK signed their trade deal, or I don't know if they actually signed it or if they're still negotiating it.
Oh, they signed
I know Keir Starmer. Oh, they did. Yeah. What are the numbers on that? I haven't been tracking things nearly as well as I should have been. It's been I've been so inundated with everything for the past couple weeks. It's been fucking ridiculous.
Let me pull it up. I can't remember the exact details. Oh yeah, so
perfect time for me to finish my my other sandwich.
All right, so the UK previously was tariffing U.S. steel and aluminum at 25%. That's gone down to 0, and the U.S. had been tariffing British cars at 25%. That's gone down to 10%.
Oh my god. Okay. So so that was a selective trade deal.
Yes. There are a couple of other things as well, but that was the main thing.
Well, that's still huge for the U.S. because you said steel and aluminum?
Yes.
Massive fucking, like, all the new constructions that they're doing over in the UK are all steel frame buildings. So the construction sector over there is heavily reliant on steel. So the fact that now there's not a tariff on steel, that helps them.
Oh, and one other thing, there was also a UK tariff on 20% tariff on beef that's also now been dropped completely.
Holy shit! Are you serious?
Yes.
Holy fuck! Oh my god, Trump, I love you. Holy crap! No, you gotta understand, like the tariffs restrict supply, yes, 100%. But the thing is that at the end of the day, that just means that U.S. beef producers are just going to flood that market like a motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
Like British or Irish beef is going bye-bye in the UK. Like, holy shit. That's great. Which, by the way, there was a really funny comment made in one of Max Miller's videos on Tasting History. I believe it was the Lobscouse episode. There was a really funny quote about Irish beef in the recipe that he was making, and it was just fucking hilarious. But okay, so steel, aluminum, and beef. Holy shit, those are staple goods. And the fact that the U.S. just has carte blanche to fucking ship the, oh my god. And mind you, okay, British cars tariffed at 10%. One, that's going to reduce Land Rover's fucking influence in the U.S. Still, they're not going to sell their cars at any different price. They're still going to sell their cars for the same fucking price that they are. It's just going to incentivize people like, oh, your prices didn't drop. Okay, fuck it. I'm going to go buy the 4Runner. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, that was another thing, the whole tariff discussion.
Oh, actually, I need to make a slight correction. That tariff rate drop of down to 10% is only for a maximum of 100,000 cars a year, after which any cars above that are tariffed at 27.5%.
And the British don't have the capacity to produce that number. They don't have that capacity.
Fair enough.
No, what brands of British cars are there? They sold Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce is owned by fucking Rheinmetall, basically. Oh. So it's technically a German company at this point in time. And you have Land Rover, and I think Land Rover was sold to another company. So, like they don't have much capacity at all. So, wow.
Really? The British actually sold Rolls-Royce? That was their... go for it, Stoner?
Not trying to dox myself, but there's a Rolls-Royce facility within my state.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, they're technically owned by Rheinmetall now.
Never would have thought the British would have sold their flagship car company. It's
they're
kind of pathetic.
They're fucking retarded.
Yeah,
kind of retarded. So staple. Oh my god! First off, who buys? The only people that buy fucking British cars are fucking retards, anyways. So I don't even care. But the fact that we are going to be able to sell so much staple, beef, steel, aluminum. That's going to be a massive fucking market for us, and that's going to be hilarious to watch. It's yes, give us more money, bitches.
There's only one thing I can say about the British. They gave us John Lennon and Alan Moore. Do I need to say anything else?
Right.
Okay, so all right. Now, another thing I would like to cover. So we kind of maniacal laugh about tariffs. So then we have the situation with Canada versus the U.S. The Alberta separation thing is kicking into overdrive. Dale, move to Alberta. You need to move.
Yes.
Because holy shit. The native Siberians are making a ruckus over that. Mm-hmm. They're big mad because they're this is treaty land, and it's
who cares?
Womp womp.
Yeah. They're a long ago conquered people. Who gives a shit what they think?
Yeah, well,
you can just buy them off with some fire water. That'll be the end of that.
Bro, that would be a great set up a liquor store named Firewater in the middle of a tribal area. Just as a fucking meme. That place would get burned down so fast it's unfucking real.
Yes.
Oh my god. But we're terrible. But yeah, so they're raising a ruckus, and then also there's the supposedly I think it's the mayor of either Calgary or Edmonton. I don't remember, but one of the mayors of one of those two cities raised a stank, and then immediately got cock smacked by everybody. Like just immediately got fucking called out on so much shit. It was unfucking real.
I believe that was
Dude.
Edmonton.
Okay, dude went quiet. He didn't say shit after that. Because he was like, oh shit, they're gonna get me. Fuck. So yeah, the 51st state is looking very fine. I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's gonna be really nice taking the oil sands away from Canada. That's gonna be funny. And if the Yukon territories are at all fucking smart, they'll also jump ship, and then we'll be able to build a really nice pipeline.
I also honestly don't think if Alberta goes, I'm 95% sure that like Saskatchewan and Manitoba are gonna want to get the fuck out as soon as possible, because that basically means that they're never gonna have, if Alberta leaves, then it's basically, liberal liberal rule forever, and neither of those two provinces are going to want anything to do with that.
Well, look at if you actually look into it a little bit, more than likely there's going to be a distinct separate. There's going to be a full blown separatist movement in Western Canada.
There already is.
The only place that they have that the Canadians, and I'm referring to them as the Western Forces and the Canadians. The only place that the Canadians have a strong point within Western Forces territory, and yes, I'm specifically using that name on purpose.
Is Vancouver.
It's Vancouver. It's the only one. And Vancouver, let's face it, Vancouver would be really easy to fucking starve. Yes. It'd be so easy to starve. And you know damn well that if there was a fucking call to the U.S. like, hey, we're putting the siege together on our side. Can you put a siege together on your side? You know damn well there'd be motherfuckers showing up.
Yeah, it really wouldn't be hard. Just blockade all the fentanyl from going into Vancouver, and they'll surrender within a week.
Well, hey, after we're done with Canada, can we start reconstructing the blue states?
So here's the thing. Here's the whole crux of the situation involving Canada, is that if the separatist movement gains enough steam, because mind you, the Supreme Court of Canada has already said that, legally speaking, Alberta can leave. Regardless of all the treaty bullshit and whatnot, it's been stated 100% that they can leave. And the negotiations are not going to go the way that Canada wants them to, because the U.S. is going to lean on Canada in favor of Alberta. So it's absolutely not going to go the way they want. And when that's all said and done, eventually Canada as a whole is going to become part of the North American Federation. Now, then when it comes to the blue states are going to keep doing their thing until they can't. When Canada falls, the blue states fall with them. Because what people don't understand about we're going to be creating a whole new level of the government from this point. You're going to have the U.S. form of government copy-pasted to the Federation. Because then it's going to be, okay, Canada gets this number of seats. The U.S. gets this number of seats. Okay, cool. We elect a Federation president as a whole, which the Canadians, a bunch of people are like, oh, they'll guarantee liberals win every time, blah blah blah. No, they won't, because it's the Electoral College guarantees that we win as long as people actually get out and vote. Because the Electoral College does not discriminate against the minority. That's what's so brilliant about the system, is that the minority actually has a voice. Now, the blue states are going to be in a tizzy because they want to establish their democracy. They want to reform the government into a democracy. And it's like, nope, go fuck yourself. You have your democracy. It's called the Congress. Fuck you. Have a good day. We have our dictatorship, which is the executive, and then we have our oligarchy, which is the judicial. So, congratulations, we have all three. Fuck you. That's the great thing about congressional republic.
Yeah, and we all see the polling for all three of those branches, and we can see which is the least liked. Newsflash! It's not the it's not the judicial and it's not the executive. It's the fucking legislature.
Now, here's the thing: is that if you copy paste the American system on top of a federation of nations, so yes, the U.S. is technically a federation of nations, but at the end of the day, they are, think of it like a hyper advanced version of the British Commonwealth. That's what we would be putting together, because then Canada would have their, the U.S. would have their voice, and then Mexico eventually will have their voice, and then eventually we'll take over the Caribbean, and then basically at that point in time, the North American Federation has reached its peak, and then we get to decide if we want to go to South Africa or South America. Yeah. And
Warhound, you skipped a very important step.
What?
Dealing with the liberal progressives in our country, because if we don't, then that's going to come back and bite us in the ass.
We're going to deal with them. Don't worry, it's going to happen. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that these people are going to out themselves. They're going to try to start something with the fall of Canada as a colony, and the actual independence of Canada being established. They are going to lose their fucking minds here in the U.S. The liberals are going to lose their fucking marbles, and they're going to try to start something, and then we're going to smack them into oblivion. Now, whether or not it's economic, political, or militarily, that's yet to be seen.
Do you think any of the blue states will attempt to secede?
No.
Oh, hell
because, yeah. No, let me finish. California, there's this whole thing, like if California seceded from the Union, it would be the fourth largest economy in the world, or some bullshit like that. Problem with that, there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of their economy that's based off the federal government. Mm-hmm. Without the federal government, California really doesn't actually have an economy. Because what does California really have? Like, seriously, what do they really have? It's not much.
They have substantial agriculture. They have the largest tech sector in the world. They have a fair amount of stuff.
What do the majority of tech companies rely on to make money?
Many things. Like, what specific thing are you referring to?
Government contracts.
Ah.
It's government contracts that they rely on. The agricultural sector. I'm just going to point this out. In 2023, they got shown that their agricultural sector is as vulnerable as everybody's because, what's the valley?
It's a dried up lake bed that has some of the most fertile soil in the country.
Yeah. And what happens when all of a sudden you have record-breaking snow melts?
Oh, it fills up the valley and you get flooded.
Yep, there were 30. The water was like 30 feet deep in the region. Like at the end of the fucking day, natural disaster could cripple their economy completely. Like, if you do not have a stable economy if your economy is that conditional. And the conditions on California are so extreme, we could literally starve them out without even a second thought. Like electricity, for example. Their grid is completely dependent on the rest of the U.S.
And it's also constantly rolling blackouts.
Yeah. Brownouts, that's what they're called.
Oh, yes, brownouts.
Here's something you gotta ask yourself. Do you really think that there's gonna be sane people running California? You remember the Capitol Hill? You remember the Capitol Hill autonomous zone was here a few years ago? Now imagine that, but statewide. I could very, very easily see these dumbasses trying to leave the union.
Oh no, the point is that they'll fail. Like they do not have an economy without the U.S. And then all of a sudden, okay, cool. By the way, this is federal land, this is federal land, this is federal land, this is federal land, this is federal land. Okay, cool. By the way, you don't get to have anything to do with the federal land because it's now a national border or international border.
Okay, but there's also something else. What are you going to do about the goat? What are you going to do about the neocon / globalistic progressive military officers and enlisted members that are already in? They're not going to follow any orders to go up against the blue states.
No. Okay, first off, dude. Okay, this is some fucking 2016 fucking paranoia bullshit that you're spouting. Okay, first and foremost, we're talking about the military. The military and the civilian world are two distinct worlds. They do not have much overlap whatsoever. And at the end of the day, they are literally going to get told, hey, you can't leave base because base is literally an embassy now. You can't leave base. Now, logistically, is it going to be a challenge? Sure. But here's the problem, is if the military members aren't subsidizing the local economy, the areas around these bases will die. Like, literally most of these places only exist because of the military bases. Like, let's be honest. Like, look at fucking Fort Bragg. Fort Bragg has a massive fucking city that cropped up around it. And who are the majority of the customers of the businesses in that area?
Fort
the
Bragg.
Troops that are stationed on the base. So
I tend to disagree with that because I've seen quite a few military members express their political opinions, and a lot of those political opinions that I've been seeing expressed are not in line with the Constitution or the values area.
yes, but you're also talking about a member of the military that is usually vocal online. They tend to run in particular circles, and they tend to be few and far between. See, here's the problem. It's just like the NEETs. You think there's a lot of NEETs in the world because when you're online, you see a shit ton of them. But then when you go out into the real world, you don't see a lot of NEETs because they don't actually exist in your life.
True.
That's the point.
But that's also because they don't go outside much. So you're not likely to see them.
But that's the thing, though, is that they don't have any actual effect on your world. Like, I'm sorry. If I remember correctly, Japan has one of the lowest fucking birth rates in the fucking world because they have a cultural fucking issue with people who are not willing to leave their fucking houses and actually get married and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember that being a distinct problem of theirs. And it's the same way everywhere. These people only exist online. So the dumbasses who are posting themselves in uniform, waving a fucking Cali flag or some shit like that, there might be 1 in 100 of them. And I can tell you right now, there'd be like 10 or 15, waving Israeli flags, and the rest of them are waving American flags. Just using that conflict as an example. Mm-hmm. So, no, I'm not concerned about the military in regards to this at all. Hey, Dale, go ahead and pause the recording for a second. I'm doing trucks real quick.
All right, one moment.
Oh, before you do trucks, you got to do your call in.
Yeah, I can do the call in after I get done with trucks.
Okay.
I don't have to do it on the hour by the hour. I just have to do it relatively close to the hour.
I got you. I know one thing. I surely hope you're right. Otherwise, we're going to be fucked. I said, I sincerely hope you're right. Because in the event of a civil war scenario started by these progressive idiots, if the military's not on the constitutionalist side, then we are fucked.
Oh, no, that's the thing, is that's what is great about the situation in regards to Trump, is that they're going to start up their bullshit, and they are going to be like, Trump is a dictator. And there's going to be some of the military guys that side with them because they disagree with Trump and everything. But the vast majority are going to be like, oh, we've been waiting for this. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you're going to have a bunch of civilians alongside military fucking gatting these motherfuckers into trenches. And it's going to be funny. Like, the thing is that the whole Civil War idea, like, for example, A34 or A24's Civil War movie. That movie was flawed for one reason and one reason only, is that you had military, a good chunk of the military, that was willing to side with a president that was refusing to step down from office. Well, no, because the military would have been like, excuse me, what are you saying? And they would have gatted his ass immediately.
Oh, did you see where David Hogg got voted out of the DNC chairmanship?
Yeah, that was
for being white.
for being
white
and
being a man.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was comical.
Being white, yeah. Being a man. Is he really a man?
Allegedly.
He's got deep enough of a voice to be a dude, so he could be taking testosterone. I don't know.
I don't think... With how scrawny he is, he's not taking testosterone.
I love making jokes about David Hogg. They're fun.
Yes.
It's actually really funny. He did a talk at Kent State, and I'm very upset that I didn't know about that.
Would you have showed up to heckle him?
I would have shown up, gotten the mic, and been like, hey, David, nice to meet you, man. Just a quick question. Why are you such a twink?
Yes.
Oh, it would have been fantastic.
Honestly, that sounds more like a stoner question than a you question.
Huh?
That sounds more like a question Stoner would ask, to be honest.
To be honest with you, he very much has bottom energy.
My point stands.
David Hogg is 100% a bottom.
No, it's just funny for me because, like, I would use that question specifically because Brandon Herrera, donut operator, and bad electrician, all them, they all tease him with the twink thing, and that's why I would use it.
Nah, fair enough.
Do you think David Hogg even knows who those men are?
Probably, with how much they've been fucking heckling him. Dude, I'm sorry, but you look at what's going on with Buffalo right now, and you understand exactly how much influence those men have. That shit's fucking insane.
Right. Buffalo as in the city in New York, or Buffalo as in the animal?
Yeah. Nah, Buffalo, New York.
What's happening in Buffalo?
Oh, you haven't heard?
No.
Oh, okay, give me a second. Let me get out of the cooler. Actually, hold on, give me a split second. Let me finish this up.
No worries.
And call in, and then we can start recording again.
Alright. Technically, I've been recording the whole time, but I'm just going to edit out all the part. It's easier to just do this and just cut out the section than it is to, like, put it all back.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. And definitely cut the part about, because I just put my phone away and I forgot to mute myself, so definitely cut this out.
The U.S. government has taken control of New York's Rikers Island prison.
What the fuck? This bad lad is actually doing it. Holy shit.
Didn't he say that he was going to try to set up Alcatraz again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're talking about doing a full-blown fucking rebuild of Alcatraz.
That would be nice.
But what's the significance of this? What's the significance of this? Isn't Rikers Island still in use?
Right. Is Rikers Island where Alcatraz is, or are they different?
No.
Alcatraz is there in San Francisco, out there past the Golden Gate.
Oh.
Rikers Island is in New York.
It's in the bay.
Oh.
It's in the bay. It's not past the Golden Gate.
I always thought Alcatraz was in New York. Interesting.
No,
Alcatraz is in San Francisco.
Now, in regards to Rikers, what's significant is that Rikers has been an absolute shit show for a few years now. They're horrendously overcrowded. They're catch and releasing people like a motherfucker. And they're just not running the prison properly whatsoever. The fact that they're federalizing that prison is fucking hilarious to me.
Is it a state prison or is it a federal prison?
State prison.
Oh. Interesting.
Well, a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't know this, but the federal government can federalize state prisons if they're being mismanaged.
Interesting. That would be so what's going on with Buffalo? Because you mentioned that earlier.
Okay, yeah. So Detective High, also known as Angry Pops, went on the Unsubscribed podcast, and he wanted to share some stuff about the ongoing issues in regards to child abuse in the Buffalo public school system. Now, what we later found out was the full extent of it is, they're not reporting crimes, they're not reporting incidents, they're obfuscating, details, they're omitting details. Just in general, they are failing the students completely. So one of the examples, and this is a very, 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 very controversial situation right now, because so what ended up happening is that there is a science center in Buffalo that has a elementary school attached to it. It's an annex school.
Mm-hmm.
And so the school is K through 5, per my understanding. And a couple kids almost got abducted from the school by an individual. And what we later found out is that the school reported the one attempted abduction, but didn't tell the parents of the other child that they were they were a part of a potential abduction.
What the fuck?
So, just in general, it is a fucked up situation. No, Buffalo Public Schools not telling people that their kids almost got kidnapped from the school. Sorry, a couple of the supervisors walked out, and they were. So what you end up having is the situation gets blown up by Rich, and it's it's just a situation in general. The public schools then put out this statement saying like, oh, this isn't true, this is misleading, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. And they held this meeting where basically they're like, we're going to address those. And the meeting was completely closed doors. Note, they broadcast every meeting of the school board. So the fact that this was a closed door meeting meant that they did not want anything in this meeting being heard. And then they put out their statement, and it was a farce, to say the least. And then, of course, the unsub guys clap back, and they're like, oh, we got receipts. Since, I believe it was 2023. Oh, no. Yeah, 2023. Since 2023, the Buffalo school system has had 17,000 times that something has happened. Now, here's the problem, is more than 50% of that 17,000 were incidents that were listed as information only. And if you don't know anything about information only in the terms of law enforcement, information only is we have details, but no crime. Or we have details, we have a possible suspect, but it needs to be looked into more. But as of right now, we don't have any. And generally speaking, information only is where cases go to die. Now, it can also be used, like, say, for example, my car getting broken into last month. I filed a police report with that. And so that report will be listed as information only. And then as time goes on, if there's more occurrences, it will be listed as information only, and then finally, say we catch a glimpse of who it is, well, now we have a paper trail of a pattern that can be then used in the case against the person who is suspected of committing the break-ins. Same kind of deal. So, well, the problem is that, again, information only is where cases go to die, because you have to, in order to search something up, a report, in order to search it up, you have to search it by that address. You can't just pull up information only. You have to pull up the actual address. So if nobody thinks to search up, hey, I'm going to go look at the this ABC school and pull up all the reports from that address, and actually look at them. If nobody does that, then you don't know what actually happens. And the problem is the majority of these incidents are handled by the school resource officers, the RSOs. Well, the problem is that if the RSOs are told by the school, hey, don't actually make a big deal out of this, then, their hands are kind of tied behind their back. And it's just a whole situation. Well, now, one of the cases, they just finalized the case, and it was, I don't remember the exact details of the case off the top of my head. Oh, yeah, this one. a girl's friend came to a counselor saying, hey, or teacher, counselor, teacher, I don't remember. Hey, so-and-so was raped. And then the teacher was like, oh, well, I'll handle it tomorrow. And tomorrow came and went. Teacher didn't handle anything, so they went to another teacher. Teacher then goes like, excuse me fucking wah, and then says, give me 5 minutes. They start handling it. Well, then at that point in time, you know, it's just a whole thing at that point. Well, the teachers were kind of, I won't say they were threatened, but they were told very sternly not to talk to the police by the administration. And so it was a whole fucking issue for the police because they were trying to investigate a potential rape. Now, I don't know the details of the case, so I don't know what actually like fully happened. The way that Rich put it, it sounded like 2 students were fucking around and a video got recorded of them fucking around, and then that video was getting disseminated across the school. That's what the situation sounds like. And what is that, ladies and gentlemen? Anybody know what that crime that becomes crime-wise?
Revenge porn?
Nope.
That is CSAM. Or CSAM, right?
What?
Child sexual abuse material. You know, CP.
Yes. There you go. Sorry, I've never heard that acronym. But yes, that's exactly what it is. And so, yeah, big problem. Big fucking problem.
Does that mean the people who were filmed would get charged with producing it, or what?
No. Because they're both minors, it's like, we need to put these 2 in counseling. You know,
right.
Go do some counseling. Get your shit in order. You know, because, you know, but the video was the crime. Now, the kid who recorded the video, he might be in some shit. Right. I don't know the full details of that. But the point is, that was, and that's the point, is the Buffalo school system not reporting this stuff, not talking to the cops, not trying to help in situations like this. And mind you, there's so many more situations. Like a chick walked in, told her counselor that her dad was beating her. Her stepdad, I should say, was beating her. And the counselor was like, do you have proof? Or something like that. And it's like, what? And then she showed a video of her getting her ass beat by her stepdad to the counselor later, the next day, I think, or something like that. And they were like, huh? Is that you? And it's like, holy fuck, you incompetent fucking weasels.
And here's the thing,
Yeah,
if I remember correctly, that girl's dad was a gang member.
I believe so. Now, Dale, I'll go ahead and I'll grab the videos from Unsubscribe, and I'll send them over to you so you can put them down in the description so people can reference that.
All right, sounds good.
Because people need to know about that shit, like period and as well.
Yeah, it sounds fucked up beyond measure.
Oh yeah, no, it's a really fucked up situation. So okay, I think that covers, like, you got the ongoing, you know, normal U.S. bullshit. We got the whole the deportations. Let's move on to that, I guess. From crime to more crime. Yeah, so the deportation stuff. First and foremost, I just want to say this: anybody who's bitching that they're not deporting people fast enough, I just need to make this very fucking clear. You cannot expect people to get deported quickly when you have a limited manpower and limited time of day.
True.
But the fact that so many people have been deported that, you know, the majority of them are fucking douchebags and a half is a good thing.
Very much so.
And slowly but surely we're picking up the stragglers. Slowly but surely. Now, the fun part is the fact that Democrats are getting arrested. Like, Democrat politicians are getting arrested for trying to
Storming
breach
ice facilities? Yeah,
trying to breach ice facilities.
Mm-hmm.
And they're raging, and they're bitching, and they're crying, and womp womp.
It's an insurrection. It's
Yeah.
worse than 9/11. It's an insurrection.
It's worse than 9/11.
Yes.
Oh my god. But yeah, so, you know, of course they're doing their bullshit, and I couldn't care less. It's like, oh yeah, you got arrested? Cool. Fun. Let's see how you like 3 years in solitary confinement.
Yep.
I just wonder why in the hell these Democrats love the illegal aliens more than their own citizens.
Well, I can get into that, but I want to cover Europe in that as well. So we can get into that a little bit in this episode. So yeah, but the deportations are going as quickly as they really can. Like, what people don't realize is that the majority of deportations that occur are on the border. Mm-hmm. And so you get people, you intake them, you process them, and then you deport them. Like, it usually all happens on the border. We're having to traverse the entirety of the United States to deport people right now. And it's unfortunate that it's gotten to this stage, but that's what we have to deal with. So it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time. And one of the things that I really want to stress to people is be ready to actually step into industries that you would not normally want to step into. Stoner, for example, you work in a factory, it sucks. It's not a good day. Honestly speaking, it's pretty atrocious at times. But people need to be ready to step into those jobs, because it's like, no, you gotta put up with some suck. Like, you're gonna get paid decently, but you're gonna have to put up with the suck.
Yeah, well, good luck trying to convince people of that.
Well, and that's the problem. It's as simple as it is. And people are going to rage and rage and rage and bitch and bitch and bitch, cry, and so on and so forth. And it's like, sorry, I don't care. I do not care about your feelings. If you want the change, you're going to have to be a part of the change. So, congratulations. Now, the thing to do with, like, the agricultural sector, as we covered earlier, it's going to have to change. It's going to have to adapt. It's going to have to actually not be an atrophied piece of shit. And that has to go into the whole RINs stuff and getting people, stop subsidizing farmers to grow corn for ethanol and all that bullshit and so on and so forth. Like, there's a whole thing that's going to go into the agricultural sector. But eventually it's going to work out, period in the story. It's really funny because Israel is actually going to be a source of a lot of benefits to the agricultural sector here in the U.S. And for those who might not know, Israel has one of the most advanced agricultural sectors in the world. The shit that they do is fucking bewildering at times. It's like, holy shit, you guys thought of a lot. And that's the whole thing, is at the end of the day, we're going to have the agricultural sector is going to have to adapt. Now, when it comes to the border regions, you're going to have business as usual. You're going to have people that live on the Mexico side that come over to the U.S. side to work and then go back home at the end of the day. And they've been doing that for years. I'm sorry, but anybody who bitches about those people coming across the border with their work visas to go work in the fields, I'm going to throw hands. Because at the end of the fucking day, first off, they're benefiting and we're benefiting. So shut the fuck up. It's a very win-win situation for both sides of the border.
Yes.
So fuck off.
No one who complains about that is trying to work those jobs for that pay. So it's
well,
like
not even that. They're not gonna. They're not. Their whole gripe, their whole point is that they're stealing American jobs. Bitch, the number of people that work in high tech industries on the border regions is higher than the number of people that work in low tech. Like, I'm sorry, I don't care who the fuck you are. The number of American agricultural workers in the southeast of the U.S. is vastly smaller than the agricultural workers in the middle of the country or in the east of the country. Vastly smaller.
right.
So, go fuck yourself. The people, like, at the end of the fucking day, those people are coming over and working jobs that nobody is available to work in. The population's not big enough to cover that shit. So, boo-hoo, wah-wah, wah-wah, little nigga.
Right.
Like, nobody cares. Anyways, but yeah, now, in regards to, like, the situation with the Democrats and whatnot, you know, being bitch, whine, cry, yap, you know, fucking little chihuahuas, honestly speaking, it's not having an effect. It's not having any fucking discernible actual positive force on the situation for them, because at the end of the fucking day, like, literally, you have ICE agents fucking just telling people to go fuck themselves. Like it is hilarious watching the videos of people being in the neighborhood. Like, what are you doing here? Why are you not in uniform? Blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up. Clearly, you do not know how fucking special teams work. Like, I love it because I've been on details where I had to specifically be in plain clothes, and I'm in full kit because it's like I'm there to do specific jobs, and I had to have my kit available for something going down. Like, there's plenty of plain clothes work. So whenever somebody's bitching about, oh, your uniform, I fucking laugh. But hey, I work in public safety, so there is that. Or private safety. But anyway. So yeah. Now, Stunner, to answer your question, because I'm going to swap it up this way. To answer your question, why do the Democrats care more about other people other than U.S. citizens? It's the same calculus that the European politicians have towards their people. There is a book by the name of Pan Europa, written by one Mr. Kalargi, that basically details the full extent of how these people feel towards the people of their nations. Pan-Europa was the framework for the European Union. Pan-Europa is the framework for a world government, so on and so forth. And as part of Pan-Europa, there is this sentiment. You need to look for context clues. You need to try to read between the lines a little bit and try to think outside the box to get the full picture, because, of course, Kalargi isn't going to expressly put this in his book. But if you know anything about Kalargi, and you know about his other writings, and you know about his personal correspondence with people, and so on and so forth, and who he was associated with, you realize really quickly, the whole point is to import peoples from around the world to control and repress the native population of your nation, while having a large manpower pool that can be used for war fighting and for this, that, and the other, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's basically a case of, force as many people into a small area as possible and create friction that is not boiling over. It's bubbling, but it's not boiling over. And the whole point is that you can then control the population a lot better. And in the event that you need to, you can use that outside population to then exterminate the the dissident population, and then you can exterminate the outside population through eugenics and so on and so forth. I wonder where we've heard this before. And get rid of them and prevent them from being a problem later. By the way, I just want to point out that there was a lot of this talked about in regards to Planned Parenthood. Funny little thing.
Yep.
Yeah, African Americans are they don't realize that they're patsies, but hey, it is what it is. It's a topic that it's cathartic to think about, because it's like, wow, you guys really wanted to go for this. But it's also very saddening, because there's a lot of populations in the world that don't realize that they are nothing but patsies to these people, and that they will literally get rid of them as well when the time comes. So it's just really fun. Now, of course, here in the U.S., this Pan-Europa really wasn't a framework. Pan-Europa, I tried tracking down an old print of Pan-Europa, and the only place that I could find one was a French bookstore. And it was an original print, like 1920, I want to say it was 23, 24 when he published, if I remember correctly. And it was like $500-$600 for the book. I was like, nope, I'm good. But luckily there was a new version published of the book. I don't know if it has the full contents of said book, but there's a new print of the book that came out a few years ago, so I was able to get a hold of that from Amazon, and it was only like $15. So I was like, cool. But yeah,
so you did read the book.
I've read most of it. Not fully.
Right.
I need to sit down and finish it. But it was very clear, like this whole group of people, that Kalergi was associated with, which, there's several names that ring a bell. Winston Churchill and Rockefeller and Arthur Balfour and so on and so forth. Yeah, there was a lot of names associated with this guy. This guy got around. Oh, by the way, just point out that Kalergi was a or one funny mustache man was a big fan of Kalergi's work too. So yeah. Kalergi was not a good guy. Not a good guy by any stretch of the fucking imagination. But yeah, no, that's the whole point. Is these, I refer to them as Europhiles, but I also refer to them as loyalists, because they're loyal to Europe, not to the U.S. And they are, they're dead set on embracing the European agenda, which is, break down every nation in the world and then rebuild as a new global order. Like that's their whole agenda across the board. The problem is that people like Alex Jones and that whole side of things, while they got some details right, they got the process completely fucking wrong. And that's the problem. For example, they latched on really hard, like that side of the discussion, of the spectrum. They latched very hard onto, the Federal Reserve, which, thank God for J.P. Morgan, because the Federal Reserve actually ended up being, I wouldn't say a full benefit, not a net benefit, but a neutral thing for the United States. It depends on whose hands it's in. If it's in the right hands, it does good. If it's in the wrong hands, it does bad. Like it's a neutral entity. And people who thought they knew better, that weren't read in, that didn't know the context, that didn't know who was who and what was what, would do things that would hamstring our ability to actually get out from under the bullshit that we were dealing with. Like, for example, in 1968, when the Bretton Woods system fell apart and then Nixon took us off the gold standard and everything, you know, that kneecapped the Federal Reserve's ability to control the situation. Because then, you know, fast forward to Jimmy Carter, well, I actually skipped over a phase. You know, Nixon then also implements the universal Fed funds rate, which then further kneecaps the ability of the Federal Reserve to actually handle things. And then, you know, Jimmy Carter, who was Europhilic to the core, you know, he starts doing these different measures and trade deals and so on and so forth, which were catastrophic for the United States. Also gets us involved in one of the worst wars that we've been involved in fucking ever. Like, the effects, like, it's really funny because, like, the Israelis will talk about World War II, and I'm like, you know what? It's really funny because, like, I don't even, like, World War II doesn't even register, like, at all to me in terms of, like, effect on our nation. Like, in reality, World War II really barely affected the United States. But you want to talk about Vietnam? Oh, motherfucker, that war had a huge effect on the United States. Massive fucking effect. And it was, you know, Jimmy Carter fucking, you know, Jesus Christ, that whole shit show. And then you just continue forward. And so you have this.
What war did Carter get the U.S. involved in?
Well,
yeah,
he did get
I was wondering about that because during Vietnam, that was Lyndon Baines Johnson and then Richard Nixon.
Yeah, didn't it end with Nixon or or Ford at least?
I thought Jimmy. What time? What? Wait.
Jimmy Carter was president from 76 to 80.
Yeah, because first it went from
LB. Sorry. Okay, seriously. Okay, sorry. I kind of got my dates mixed up here. Sorry, because I keep forgetting that that LBJ barely fucking registers. Well, fuck, LBJ was just as bad. He was just as Europhilic as the next. Fuck, like LBJ was as much of a disaster as anybody.
If I remember correctly, during the recently declassified JFK files, LBJ had a hand in Kennedy's assassination.
Yeah, LBJ was the guy that orchestrated it by all rights. He wanted to be president that fucking badly. But
I don't know how true it is, but I don't know how true it is, but I've actually heard it said that Nixon said that he always wanted to be president, but he never wanted to kill for it. And he was saying that in regards to Johnson.
Yeah. But no, the point is that, you know, you had LBJ and Nixon and then Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter was at the tail end of Vietnam.
Wasn't that Gerald Ford?
That was you had Nixon, and then when he got impeached,
you have Ford.
Then you had Gerald Ford come in, and then after Ford, it was Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Carter got in at 76. The Vietnam War ended in 77.
73.
73?
Yeah, it officially ended in 73. And then in 1975, the NVA restarted the war and took over Saigon.
And then the war officially ended in 77 because that's when they finally. Okay, sorry. Dude, I have so much information in my fucking noggin that if I don't have somebody else to bounce information off of, I can't fucking remember all this shit. Fucking hate it.
That's what we're here for.
No, and I appreciate it. But the point is, okay, so it was Nixon. Nixon institutes the universal Fed fund rate, and then gets rid of the gold standard, and then you have Ford, which I don't remember if Ford ever did anything involving the Fed, but then Jimmy Carter comes in, does a bunch of shit with the Fed, that ends up like hammering home the 70s recession, because we were already in a recession by 73 anyways. It's actually really funny. A lot of people don't realize this. We had technically entered the recession in 71, but things didn't get bad until 73. And then by the time 76 comes around with Jimmy Carter's trying to fix things, trying to do different things. He does some shit with the Fed, ends up falling apart real badly. And then that's why Reagan gets elected, because Reagan is seen as the potential savior. And then Reagan, you know, I won't say he did good, I won't say he did bad.
There was another thing that also contributed to Reagan getting in office, and that was the failure of Operation Eagle Claw and the Iranian revolutionaries holding our people hostage.
Well, that whole situation, let's face it, a
played
lot
a
of people,
factor in.
Yeah, it did, but it also was one of the things that a lot of people don't understand. And I guess fuck it. Since we're talking about Europe, a lot of people blame the U.S. for the fall of the Shah. And in reality, if you look into it, the British benefited from it very heavily. So I wouldn't be surprised to find out that there was more British support for it, and the CIA kind of just went along with it. So I don't know. I hate talking about I hate talking about Iran with Israelis, by the way. I fucking despise that. It's the one topic I will never discuss with Israelis. I just listen to them spurred. It's like, no, I don't want to have this conversation with you. And then listening to them talk about fucking words.
Well, to be fair for the Israelis, how many times has the Iranian leadership said that they wanted to wipe out Israel?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I get that. But at the same time, like, trying to have an honest conversation and kind of actually try to dig into details, because it's like there's a lot of different pieces and moving parts to the whole Iranian thing, that it's like I want more information, but I can't get more information.
But here's the thing also, too, that I've heard from some of these Israelis. They know about how the Iranian youth do not like the leadership. I've even heard a lot of them say that they just don't really give a fuck. They just don't care. They want to kill Iranians.
Oh yeah, no, they like that's an episode in and of itself, honestly speaking. But no, it's just a case of like the Federal Reserve, like since the 80s, basically, especially in the 90s and early 2000s, the Federal Reserve was a force for evil. And that's the problem, is that people didn't understand like what the federal, like if people knew more about JP Morgan and what he did to save us from a Bank of England style central bank, they would be sitting there fucking celebrating JP Morgan, because it's like that dude fucking intervened very heavily on our behalf in regards to that, like very heavily.
So do you also want to go over Ukraine real quick?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was trying to get because we kind of got off into the weeds a little bit, and I kind of just lost track of things.
Yeah. There's some interesting developments there. I believe it was over the last week, Russia gained about 100 square miles, or it advanced about 100 square miles, and then just today they advanced another 50.
So yeah.
So half of what they did all of last week, which is already pretty good, did about half of that just today. On top of that.
Yeah. So here's the situation with Ukraine. Ukraine has reached the tipping point. It will be a somewhat controlled descent for probably the next week or so, but honestly speaking, there's going to be some massive advancements in several sectors across the board. And this is also the preempt to a potential offensive into Sumy. They're already working towards getting forces in position to actually hit Sumy and several other key points. if I remember correctly, I'm trying to remember the map off the top of my head. I was just watching Defense Politics Asia earlier to get the map update for the day. If I remember correctly, there's been significant pushes in the New York sector.
Yes.
The Ukrainians attempted a counterattack in New York, and they kind of reestablished a position, but then it completely fell apart almost instantaneously. If I remember correctly, I heard reports that there was at least a company worth of men cut off, which, you know, at that point in time, it's like, if you don't have a good route of escape, you need to just surrender and save yourselves. There's been a significant amount of activity, potentially as a prelude to a offensive across the river in Kherson and Zaporizhia. We've had several instances along the Zaporizhia sector that lead me to believe that the Ukrainians are trying to shore up the line there. And what I think might be happening, and this is just my opinion, is I think the Ukrainians are finally taking a clue, and they're starting to pull back towards the river. That, at least this is the vibe I've gotten so far, is that they're starting to pull back forces, and that's why a lot of these advancements are being made, is that there's just basically a skeleton crew on the line to delay the Russians so that the Ukrainians can pull back consolidated defense and then proceed to defend at the river. At least that's what I would be doing if I was them at this point. But, you know, we'll see if they actually do it.
Who knows? They might just try to invade Kursk again.
Jesus Christ. When they attempt... Hey, we managed to take all this land. Wait, where are the Russians? Has anybody seen the Ruskies? What's that noise? Yeah, no, Kursk was, Jesus fucking Christ. That whole situation was fucking hilarious, to be honest. But yeah, honestly speaking, it's a shit show and a half. It's also why Zelensky showed up in Istanbul. He was trying to force Putin to come to him. Putin wisely did not go to Istanbul. I completely agree with Putin not going, because Zelensky was trying to force him to Istanbul to try to... I'm convinced at this point in time they were going to try to schwack Putin, to be honest, but that's just my opinion. If I were Putin, I wouldn't trust Erdogan as far as I could throw him. If I were Putin, I'd be talking to the Saudis, and I suspect that might be a thing, is that Putin is currently talking with the Saudis and kind of giving the snub to Erdogan, but that's just my personal opinion. The Europeans are freaking the fuck out right now because Pakistan. So this actually ties in with the Pakistan-India thing. So Pakistan and India, you know, had their little tiff this week and last week. And now I was getting reports that there was like this massive fuck you dogfight that was going on the border. I don't know how credible those reports were. I haven't seen full-blown confirmation of it yet. But if there was that kind of air battle ongoing between Pakistan and India, there would be fucking so many videos. Like, people would be fucking posting that shit hard. Because it's like, the wreckage, you would have had fucking fireballs coming out of the sky with the wreckage. Like, 140 aircraft going at it, that's not a small battle by any metric. You're talking squadron on squadron. Like, that's a big fucking dogfight. It's not, you know, World War II levels dogfight, but it's a big fucking dogfight. So there would have been a lot more wreckage. But we do have confirmation of, I believe it's 2 Phantom 2s from the Pakistanis and 1 Rafale by the Indians, or from the Indians. But one of the key things about Pakistan's situation and why Pakistan has approached India the way they have is it turns out that the Pakistanis have sold a shit ton of their ammunition, artillery ammunition, to the Ukrainians. And so in reality, the whole artillery duel shit that they were doing last week and in general for the past week and a half, 2 weeks, the indications that I got from some of the reports was that basically the Indians were firing 5 shells for every 1 shell that Pakistan was firing. And it's like, holy shit. That's a big fucking disparity. A really big disparity, actually. And so it was, so in regards to that artillery ammunition, that indicates that, a lot of nations have potentially depleted their arsenals completely, in big ways to supply Ukraine. And so, like right now, there's, Friedrich Merz in Germany is, floating the idea of handing Taurus over to the Ukrainians. There's no indication that they've done it yet. There hasn't been any sightings of Taurus missiles in Ukraine yet. So we'll know when they do hand them over, if they hand them over. But I doubt the Germans will. The German military is like shitting bricks over their readiness right now. They're fucking losing it.
How impactful would Taurus missiles be at this time, or in general?
Honestly speaking, they only have like 140 of them in stockpile. So, like, yeah, they could do some damage, but it's going to be like localized damage at best. It's not going to be massive impact unless they stick the nuclear warheads on them, which Taurus is nuclear capable. But the problem is that even if they stuck the nuclear warheads on them, then at that point in time, Russia slings nukes at Ukraine, and then Ukraine ceases to exist. Yeah. So it's like, is it worth it?
No.
Because mind you, the Russians aren't going to nuke Western Ukraine. They're going to nuke not nuke Eastern Ukraine. They're going to nuke Western Ukraine, and then they're going to leave that inhospitable fucking wasteland of, blown to hell back cities to the Ukrainians that are left. So it's like, yeah, you can do that, but it's going to end badly for you. So I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think that they'll send them the missiles anyways, because Germany's already fucking hamstrung as it is. Like, if they tie their balls in any more of a knot, it's going to be testicular torsion.
Speaking of Ukraine, did you hear what happened with Hungary and what the Hungarians were caught doing in Ukraine?
Doing exactly what I thought they were going to be doing.
Yep. Probing the areas to see, in preparation for maybe annexing those parts of Ukraine that are historically Hungarian.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at what I do. It's not like I didn't call this fucking last year.
Yep.
Yeah, no, and it doesn't shock me. Of course, the EU's been pretty quiet on this subject, actually, funny enough. And I think the reason why they've been quiet on it is, I think
Poland's thinking the same thing, you think?
Yeah.
Maybe Romania as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to find out. And it's just a simple case of the genie's out of the bottle. Like, after Russia took those territories that they did, the genie's out of the bottle at this point in time. There's nothing that they can do. And so these other nations are going to be like, that used to be ours, that used to be mine, this used to be mine, fuck you. And there's nothing the Ukrainians can do about it. So, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I want the Hungarians, the Polish, and the Romanians to take their bits and pieces back. Because then at that point in time, we can be like, oh, hey, thank God, Ukraine doesn't exist anymore.
Yep.
We don't have to deal with one of the most corrupt states on the planet.
Indeed.
But yeah, no, Ukraine's basically fucking over at this point. Like, it's as over as it can get, as it can be over. minus, the continued fighting. I don't think the Ukrainians have the strength to actually be able to muster a actual offensive anymore. They would have by now if they did. The new pushes into Kursk have been mainly recon platoons by the looks of it. Like some of the footage that I've seen of them trying to push into Kursk again, it was platoon-sized elements. And the forces that have seemingly been identified so far, we're talking a couple battalions at best. Like there's really no options for them. And like the probing that the Russians are doing in the Sumy, like the Ukrainians are claiming that they pushed the Russians out of Sumy. The problem is we're getting geolocation of Russian forces. So it's like, sorry, like I'm not believing you unless I see pictures. So, it is what it is. I'll be glad when Ukraine doesn't exist anymore.
Same.
Again, like I view the Ukrainian state the same way I view that I view China. Like it's a corrupt piece of shit. Now, what's interesting and furthermore, tied in with Russia specifically, have you guys been seeing did you guys see the meeting between the current leader of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim, with Putin? Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
So that interests me a lot more because Ibrahim has really, really, really solidified his position per what I've been seeing. And economically, Burkina Faso is pushing forward very hard. Like, they've nationalized the gold mines in the country. The gold cannot flow out of Burkina Faso. So in reality, the amount of gold that Burkina Faso probably has is fucking atrociously good. Probably going to allow them to establish themselves quite happily. And then in regards to, their agricultural sector, they're pushing forward very nicely with that. Again, I had that whole rant about the cannery that I did, which I still can't believe people are trying to meme on that. I'm like, you people are fucking retarded. Like, you're just stupid. But they, no, it's actually been quite refreshing to see Africa parts of Africa to start pushing forward. And actually, if we're going to talk about Africa, I want to talk about Rwanda as well. Have you guys been following at all what's been going on with fucking Rwanda?
No. What's been going on in Rwanda?
Rwanda has invaded the DRC.
Really?
They've invaded the fucking DRC effectively at this point in time. There's a Tutsi militia referred to as, I believe it's referred to as M13. And it's a Tutsi militia that's backed by the Rwandan government in the DRC. And they have basically captured like 50% of the one province, and it looks like they're going to be pushing down into this other province, and Angola is joining in, backing the or not? Is it Angola? Hold on, I got to look at a map real quick.
I think it might be Angola.
My geography skills are failing me right now. I don't remember which one's right above that.
It's Angola. Actually,
Uganda.
Oh,
it's Uganda.
Angola's right below that.
Yeah, I reversed Angola and Uganda. That's my bad. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Uganda's joined in, and Burundi is fucking shitting bricks right now because Rwanda has one of the best militaries in Africa, by the way. Like their military, honestly speaking, I was reading up on it a little bit, and Rwanda has that. I will safely say that they have that their army is, if not on par, almost on par with the U.S. Army. Like, it is ridiculous how good these guys are. And they're being used, like, this is the great part, is that the UN peacekeeping missions in Africa, they're almost exclusively using Rwandan soldiers at this point in time because they're so good.
Interesting.
Like, there's a shit ton of UN peacekeeping missions in Africa right now that are quite successful because the Rwandans replaced the guys that were originally on the missions.
So why is Rwanda invading the Congo?
So one of the big things is that Rwanda, being as small as it is, it doesn't have a lot of natural resources, and so that's one of the key things about the Congo. Now, the Congo is a piece of shit; it needs to go bye-bye, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Like, haven't they been in civil war for like the past 40 years, basically?
On and off, yeah. It hasn't been like a hard civil war. It's been like intermittent bursts of violence. Mm-hmm. So, give me a split second.
No worries.
I need to also go do trucks again. So fuck it. I'll go do trucks real quick because I fucked up and I meant to go do trucks at 7:30 and I just spaced on it and did them at 8. Yeah, this is Mike Kenny over at Cleveland, DC, just calling in for the hour. All right, thank you, sir. Let's go do trucks real quick. But yeah, so just to finish up this quick point, but what's fucking hilarious is so the Rwandans have moved into the DRC. They've already taken one of the largest cities in the DRC, by the way. And because of the proximity of this city to Rwanda itself, Rwanda in reality has like hyperly advanced freaking infrastructure across the board because of how small it is. And with being a relatively productive country in general, they've invested very heavily in infrastructure. They were able to tie the infrastructure of this city into the Rwandan infrastructure, and they are just siphoning as much gold and other resources into Rwanda as they can while invading. Like, it is ridiculous, and it is the most absolutely unhinged and glorious shit I have ever seen. But again, I'm perfectly fine with it because, honestly speaking, the DRC is a piece of crap.
True.
I don't care. Well, it's really funny because like a lot of the people online that I've heard talking about it at this point in time are really mad because, oh my God, Rwanda is infringing on the sovereignty of the DRC. But the areas that they're invading, if you don't know, are majority Tutsi areas. Like, these are areas of the DRC, and this is what scares the shit out of Burundi, by the way. These areas have a large Tutsi population. And so Burundi is sitting there, and they're like, fuck, we have a 40% fucking Tutsi population, and, the Hutu government of Burundi has been really antagonistic towards the Tutsi population for, a few years now. I wonder what Rwanda's gonna do. By the way, the current president of Rwanda is the same guy who ended the Rwandan genocide.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's the same dude. It's like, oh no, touch yourself. I fucking love it. All right, pause here. Let me do trucks real quick.
All right.
But yeah, no, I shit you not. It's the same guy. It's the exact same guy. He's been in power since. Ow. You know that? Ow. You know when you laugh too hard, and all of a sudden your arms go numb. Fuck. Ow. I can't feel my arms. But yeah, no, the shit with Rwanda, like I need to start following it more closely. But the shit with Rwanda is fucking wild. It is wild. And they're doing such a good job because they're not uploading shit. They're policing the footage and the news coverage of it so well that nobody knows it's fucking going on. And mind you, the Tutsi population of the DRC is welcoming them so fucking hard. Like, they're like, yes, let's go. Like, Rwanda by the end of the decade is going to be, twice its size at least.
Yeah.
Maybe even more.
Was the Congo mistreating the Tutsis in that area, or?
So, they weren't mistreating them, but they weren't treating them well either. Like, it was like soft discrimination. So, but the big thing is that the DRC's been antagonistic towards Rwanda for years now, thinking that, oh, we have a much bigger military than you. We can do whatever the hell we want. And then the Rwandans are like, okay, cool. Spent 15 years building their military up, building up advanced infrastructure and advanced capabilities, therefore being able to challenge the bigger force on equal terms. It's like the DRC is fucking paralyzed at the moment because the forces that they had in the region were swept aside so quickly. And mind you, the way that the DRC functions is the majority of the military capabilities are located in the west of the country near the coast, because that's where the capital city of the Congo is.
Right.
What the problem is by doing that, they didn't have any forces that could readily QRF to the front line. And so the Rwandans were able to solidify their position and then proceed to defeat the forces that were there already and then proceed to expand out. And mind you, it isn't the Rwandan military that's fighting the DRC. The Rwandan military is there as advisors and as like coordination staff. They're not the ones doing the fighting. It's the Tutsi militia that's doing the fighting. So this militia is equipped enough and trained enough to take on the DRC. That should give you some perspective.
Yeah.
Like, it is scary how well they're doing.
Well, how much of that is attributed to them, how competent they are, compared to just, because my understanding is the Congo's kind of garbage when it comes to, like, military stuff.
The DRC and the Congo are two different things.
Oh.
Remember that. There's two countries with the name Congo. Congo itself, they're kind of cool.
Right.
The DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, is not cool.
Right.
They're just a communist proto-state.
Fair enough, but my understanding is the DRC is kind of garbage militarily and always has been.
Yes, to a degree they are, but the fact that a militia force, a force that is not even supposed to even be able to register on the military, scale, is absolutely bushwhacking these motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it feels great in here. Holy shit.
And to add even further insult to injury, Rwanda is friggin' tiny compared to the Congo.
Yes.
The DRC has like 5 or 6 times the population, something like that.
It's
and
more.
like 30 times.
Yeah, Rwanda is about 13 million, and the Congo is about 111 million. It's about 10.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Congo has a lot of people.
Hey, Doc.
Oh, Hello.
Howdy. We are the knights who say me. Oh no.
You demand a shrubbery?
It's not the knights who say me the same. We are the keepers of the sacred word. Me.
Are you here to demand a shrubbery?
All right, you have to ask for what I want first.
Oh yes. What do you want?
We want a shrubbery.
Indeed.
Oh my god. Hey, Doc.
Yes.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Is this
I thought
this
you were going
before?
off the basic.
Well, I'm still fucking waiting for that shit, my dudes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's ass. But hey, it's not too bad because at least I get to be invited to RSP drills and I get paid for that shit. So whoop whoop.
Delayed entry. Jesus Christ.
Hey, at least I get to go to RSP drill, which is freaking great.
What is that?
What is that?
Yeah.
Okay, RSP in the National Guard or Recruit Sustainment Program is basically a bunch of the recruits show up, they're trained a little bit, they're taught some stuff like, how to march, how to do shit, sometimes they do like basic training tactics and other cool shit. And it's basically to where if you're doing good with your recruiter and everything and you're not an asshole, they want to teach you and mentor you before you go off to basic. And also kind of for yourself to taste military life, because if it really sucks ass, you'd be like, yeah, I'm not doing this shit, you just fucking leave. So they don't have to waste resources, right? So it's a win-win, right? They get to see if you actually even give a shit, or if you just be like, yeah, I kind of changed my mind, there's better careers out there, see ya. But for the people who want to be, soldiers in the military, the program basically gives you a bit of a better edge versus for people who don't have RSP before they go off to basic training. And in addition, as long as you're not an asshole and you're doing good with your recruiter, like your recruiter will be like, yeah, we like you to come along, you're invited. And because I actually signed up on the document and everything, and I swore my oath to the United States and the state of Texas, legally speaking, I actually am a guardsman, even though I've not done the basics. So legally, I'm on their payroll, which means every single time I show up, I get paid $125.
Not bad.
So that's basically RSP.
All right, so Doc, we were actually in the middle of recording, so we just
I
took
am very
a break.
gentleman. Did not know about that.
No
Yeah,
worries. You injected some much-needed Monty Python references into our episode.
I guess we could keep that in just for funs and shits and gigs.
Yeah, definitely.
But all right, so getting back to what we were talking about. But yeah, Rwanda is a fucking, they're a little menace. It's fucking fantastic and it's hilarious. And I didn't have Rwanda conquering the Congo on my fucking bingo card, but hey, you know what? I'll take it.
Yeah.
And again, Uganda's jumping in because Uganda's like, hey, fuck it, why not? So they're going in. And Angola is apparently supporting the Congo, but I don't know if Angola is going to really support the Congo, to be honest.
So Uganda and Rwanda are actually working together this time?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because the original Rwanda-Congo war was between Angola was on Rwanda's side and Uganda was against Rwanda. But then this time the tables have flipped and now Angola is on DRC's side and Uganda is on Rwanda's side. And again,
so why is this important, gentlemen? This just feels like a bunch of ooga booga backwards black people shenanigans.
Well, it's not, because Rwanda has one of the best, like, to be completely frank, and I'm going to say this with all legitimacy, the Rwandan military is, if not on par, almost on par with the U.S. Army. These motherfuckers are ridiculous. Like, if you do the research and you actually look into it, you'll realize very quickly, like, holy fuck, these guys really went hard for their
Gentlemen, I
Like-
understand that Rwanda in the past like decade has been actually doing very, very well and is like economically and politically like way more stable than it has ever been in its history, and it's actually like a shining example for African countries. But I didn't think average individual Rwandan soldier could be comparable to quality and willpower of an American. That seems
Let me
that's
put
new
it this way.
information.
Let
That's
me
new
put it this
information to
way,
me. I'm
Bob.
not calling you a liar. I'm not calling you a liar. I'm not saying you're wrong, but that's just very new information to me.
Well, let me put it to you this way. The UN has swapped a lot of their missions in a lot of their peacekeeping missions in Africa. They've swapped from using Nigerians to using Rwandans because of the quality of the Rwandan soldiers. Like,
Well,
there's
why don't they just use Rhodesians? Oh wait, Rhodesia doesn't exist anymore. Sad noises.
but no, that's the thing. Is like they like right now they're running a mission in I want to say it's Eritrea, but it might be Ethiopia. Yeah, it's Eritrea. They're running a mission in Eritrea right now, protecting a port development that's currently going on in Eritrea, and the militias that are trying to go up against them are getting steamrolled every time they fucking engage. Like, it is a fucking slaughter. Like, it is ridiculous how good these guys are. And again, they're running multiple different ops. Like, there's another one. I don't remember where this one is off the top of my head, but I know it's on the coast in Western Africa, on the Gold. Is that referred to as the Gold Coast or the Ivory Coast? I forget.
I believe that's the Ivory Coast.
Okay, the Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
It's one of the Ivory Coast nations that the Rwandans also have a large peacekeeping mission on, and that mission has, like, before it was like middling, like, successful. Like, it wasn't making a big effect, but it was keeping the pace. Now with the Rwandans involved, it's popping off like a motherfucker, and they're just like, everything is actually working as intended. Like, Rwandan leadership in this situation has been a fucking net positive. It's been ridiculous. And a lot of the UN missions in Africa have switched to using Rwandan soldiers because of how good they've been.
Are we looking at Rwanda becoming a regional superpower in African politics?
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly what we're looking at.
So, are they going to have like their own sphere of influences and series of like client states and puppet states that are like supportive?
So, in the case of the so their expansion in the DRC, I think they're going to take parts of the DRC. I think they're full on just going to annex parts of the DRC and tell the DRC, too bad, womp womp. And then in the case of Burundi, there's a chance that they might invade Burundi, because Burundi is 60% Hutu, 40% Tutsi, and the Hutu government of Burundi has been, not discriminating, not oppressing the Tutsi population, but they've been definitely discriminating against the Tutsi population. And I just want to point out something. The guy who is currently the president of Rwanda is the same guy that ended the genocide in Rwanda back in the 90s. It's the same guy. So I don't think
that's actually very sweet. That's wholesome.
Yeah. I don't think Burundi is long for this world, to be honest. As a nation, I don't think it is. So if you can imagine Hearts of Iron 4, the name Rwanda is going to get really big here soon, in my opinion.
Yes. You mentioned that they were now basically swapping all the Nigerians. So was there a reason why they were using Nigerians specifically before that?
Well, so Nigeria is a fun little country because they have problems, they have issues, but overall they've been kind of the stable bulwark of Africa for a long time now. And the problem is that Nigeria dedicates so many forces to UN peacekeeping missions. They've become very stretched. They've become stretched thin very heavily. Because they can only supply so many officers, and that's the problem. You know, when you're talking the UN peacekeeping missions, the officers are not, you know, they're not like UN officers. They're the officers from the partner nation of the UN. And so Nigeria was having a big problem with that for a while. And finally, they just really couldn't keep it up. And so they were starting to have problems. Again, most of the missions were middling success. They were, you know, they weren't failing, but they weren't making progress. Whereas when the Rwandans stepped in with their higher quality officers, their higher quality men, higher quality equipment, so on and so forth, when they stepped in, things improved a lot. So, yeah.
Hey, you know what's funny about some of those names you've been mentioning? I read about them in the book Congo by Michael Crichton.
That's
Well,
the
that's
one
the
with that's the one with the gorillas, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
yep, the one with the gorillas.
I love gorillas. We should feed them bananas.
You just want to pet Donkey Kong.
Yes.
Would I name a fucking gorilla Donkey Kong? Yes, I would.
Yes. Because you're crazy enough, and I should know because I know crazy because I'm a crazy guy myself.
So is that why you and me get along so well?
Yes, because we're both mentally disabled.
No,
Famous
mentally impaired.
gorillas.
Disabled.
Let's see here. Famous gorillas. Donkey Kong, King Kong, Mighty Joe Young, Amy from Congo.
You're forgetting the most famous gorilla of all.
Yeah, Hai Ping, General Hai Ping. He's Vietnamese. Hai Ping, get it?
Yes.
And his son is a private in the Vietnamese military. We call him Lo Ping.
Funny.
Yes, I totally didn't rip that off from Soviet Womble or anything.
Do we want to kind of get into China?
China.
We're kind of just going all over the place. Do you want to kind of get into China?
Sure, why not?
No,
Sure, I'd love to get out.
No, I am autistic and I like my own things. We're going to be talking about the Texas Liberation Army series for the next 4 hours.
Dude, no, we are going to be getting into China. We're going to be getting deep in China. We're going to be getting so deep inside China, it's going to have a happy ending.
We're going to be talking about China's ass. Then we're both going to orgasm. It's going to be glorious.
Jesus fucking Christ. All right.
Let
So,
the race mixing begin.
No. You just would stay far away from this one because it's going to be very gay. So gay.
all right, Doc, shut the fuck up. All right. So,
What is this document you speak of? My name is Donald J. Trump. I'm the President of the United States. Gotta give us some
Dude.
respect.
I'm gonna kick you. Ah, Jesus Christ. So the situation with China. So as we kind of we went over earlier with the tariff situation in regards to China, and the U.S. fucking went out big in that negotiation. That's fucking hilarious. In regards to their current political, military, so on and so forth. So a lot of people are still, you know, they're like, oh my God, they're going to invade. They're going to invade. They're going to invade. No, they're not fucking invading. One of the things that we've identified so far is that the military drills that they've been running off the coast of Taiwan, they've kind of been a mess. They've kind of been ramshackled. It would appear that they aren't serious drills. They're kind of just like, you know, sail around, do your normal on-ship things, but they're not doing, you know, a lot of live fire. They're not doing a lot of the stuff that they usually do when they're trying to posture hardcore. And one of the reasons I think is because they themselves are sitting there like, okay, we got put into a box by the U.S. with this tariff bullshit, and now we're kind of knocked down a peg. Now, did the Chinese save face in the face of the Americans? Yes, because the Chinese were able to retain their 10% tariff. which is a face saving mechanism. Because at the end of the day, okay, we didn't wipe out their tariff, we just reduced it. So it's a loss, but it's a win at the same time. So now, politically speaking,
mask. Your argument isn't valid.
Shut up. I just saw the movement out of the corner of my eye on the screen, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And I just see him with his fucking gas mask.
Your argument is not valid. I have a finished gas mask. Do you have a gas mask? No, the fuck you do not, bitch.
My last respirator broke, so I fucked it up on a training up. Yeah, I was big sad about that, but luckily it was only a what was that one, 150? Yeah, that one was only $150. It wasn't my $500 one.
Oh, that's good, because the finished gas mask I got was for $20, and I had to say it was a steal, perfectly steal.
Yes, but does it seal properly and actually, can you get?
Yeah, it actually does. I actually did the full seal test. It seals properly, no problems.
That's good. But yeah, no, so politically speaking, China's kind of in a funny little situation. So the PLA, I don't know if you guys saw the news, but the PLA lost a few high-ranking officers, right? And it's been a few weeks since it happened, so I don't know. I can understand if you guys don't remember this, but PLA lost some high-tier guys. Like, we're talking like the equivalent of like 4 stars and whatnot. And it's really funny to see that, because it's like, wonder what happened. And then
why do you think they're Chinese? Nothing from China lasts that long. Have you seen Temu clothing? It falls apart in a week. Of course, the Chinese generals wouldn't last that long. Hey.
But no. So what you end up having is that there's a shit ton of corruption that was uncovered, bribery schemes, et cetera, so on and so forth. And then you also look into these Chinese generals, and you realize, oh, these guys were like vehemently opposed to Xi Jinping, like vehemently opposed to it. They were war hawks, like through and through. They wanted to invade China bad, or invade Taiwan bad. So yeah, it's kind of understandable that they got removed like they did. Now, what's really funny is, so you have the military situation or the economic situation where they got dropped down a peg. You've got the political situation, which it's like it's not a good look. And then the military situation where, again, like, they definitely are like, okay, well, fuck, the U.S. is not letting up on us. We need to take it down a notch. Like, again, China is in this really funny position where I think, and I can't say for certain yet, some critical things need to happen, but I have a feeling that here soon we're going to see the Chinese mellow out real hard, probably within the next year or so, mellow out real hard and start approaching the U.S. in decisive ways, because they're like, okay, we don't want to get replaced by India. That's going to be a really bad look.
Oh my god. When will we replace the Chinese as a powerhouse? Oh my god.
Well, shit, look how many businesses, like, again, it was something like 500 businesses left China, and they've confirmed that they're pulling their operations out of China to put them in the Asian Tiger 5 and in India. Like, it's ridiculous how many businesses said they were pulling out.
I know. They're pulling out faster than I did my prostitute last night.
Oh my god, I missed having you here. Holy shit.
Hey, you need a little bit of mental insanity to make things funny around here. People in my airsoft field be like, "Oh my god, Alec is so mentally insane." Me, yes, that's the point.
All right. Fuck it. I guess we should tie it up. I don't know what time we're at this point.
We're 2.5 hours in.
It's time to get a clock. That's what it fucking is, bitch.
All right, go ahead and let's just tie it up at that point.
All right. Any closing thoughts, anyone?
Europe is the enemy, and fuck the fucking Chinese. Love you, China.
Agreed. Fuck Canada too.
Dear India, stop shitting in the streets.
Poo in the loo.
And I guess
The Indians it's cultural. The Indians will never poo in the loo.
Indeed.
That's like expecting Bethesda to make a game that isn't buggy to death.
Yes.
Doc, I will give you one really heinous joke. Go ahead.
Honestly, I kind of ran out of ammo. I didn't really have a super bad heinous joke to make.
Fuck.
That's a joke. I
How
have a
do
good
you-
one. I have a good one. How do you pick up a Jewish girl?
How?
With a vacuum, of course.
Very nice. That's a good
Okay,
one.
we're all okay. Okay, if we're not going to hell, then we're at least getting a guided tour of hell before we go to heaven.
Alright, I think that's a good spot to end it in. Good night, everyone. We'll
Yes.
see you next
Good night.
week.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.